Hello, I'm Peter Marzano.
This is Gabby Marzano.
And we're going to be recapping the Hawks' campaign so far through the first 10 games. They're 5-4-1 as it stands now. Now, obviously, the season was starting off as a quite hopeful one after they just won the Stanley Cup. We raised the banner at home, and Detroit, it's a little sad. But going out from that, we had a lot of newcomers, and they've really affected the team both positively and negatively. So, but first, let's go on to the people who have already been here. So, what do you think about Marian Hossa and Patrick Sharp?
Honestly, Marian Hossa, to me, in my opinion, is one of the best. I think one of the best players in the NHL, and is the best player on Blackhawks. And Sharp, they don't call him the shooter for nothing.
Yeah, Patrick Sharp has always been in the right place in the right time, and that's what he's sort of for. He's already scored 8 goals this year, and if you watch last Monday's game against St. Louis, that overtime goal, Sharp just knew where to be after being set up from Kane. So Sharp's definitely been showing up so far. And as far as Hossa goes, he's just been incredible. 7 goals and 4 assists. He's been scoring. He's still Marian Hossa. And he may be aging, but we have him for quite a while. And he's still such a great player in the NHL. I would say top 10 caliber. And on to Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, where most of the attention is being directed to. Both of them are identical statistically so far, with 2 goals and 5 assists. So this is the third year we're getting used to Toews coming out of the gate slumping. So not much to say about that. He's usually, I could say, a November bloomer. But 2 goals and 5 assists, so not as bad as the past 2 years. But as far as Patrick Kane goes, 2 goals and 5 assists, which is, I would say, good for now. But that -6 is a problem.
Yeah.
So, you think that if you have Patrick Kane on the ice and goals are being allowed, do you think that he needs to improve defensively?
Yeah.
And that's sort of why I think Jonathan Toews is a better player than Patrick Kane, because he's more of a defensive forward, whereas Kane is a very one-sided player as far as offense goes. So far, former first-round draft pick Jack has shown he has a lot of speed.
To me, he needs to get a little more skilly, which reminds me of Kennedy Rumchuk, pure speed skater.
Yeah, that's correct. I know it's a bit of a tongue twister for you. Now, there have been, we can't just go on with saying that we have a perfect team as far as, Hossa, Sharp, Kane, and Toews showing up. And you have Victor Stahlberg, who is showing flashes of skill. He isn't the Chris Versteeg he's supposed to be, because that's who he was traded for. But he's definitely showing some flashes of life and could become a very good player. And now, as far as the disappointments, Big John Scott, sort of supposed to be a replacement to Dustin Byfuglien, has been sort of a disappointment. And I think he needs to go on the wing because he's a defensively, he can't handle that.
Yeah, and another disappointment to me is Pisani.
Yeah, Fernando Pisani has been Fernando Pisani has definitely been I would say, a disappointment to this point. He came here from Edmonton. But a thing that we all have to remember is you can't say he's perfectly healthy because he has had stomach ulcers in the past. But still, it seems he's pretty healthy. I think that he can get better, but still, throughout these first 10 games, sure, there's still 72 left to play, but Fernando Pisani has been a disappointment, and I would say Dave Bolland has too.
I didn't expect him to be like this last year, well, his injury and everything. I thought he'd come back this year, show what he's got, but he just didn't.
Yeah, we're thinking of Bolland to be a whole new player because of him coming back from his back surgery, and definitely showed in the playoffs. But I think it's just going to take him a while. I'm not counting on Bolland to be very, consistently bad. I think he'll show up later in the year. But my last disappointment, someone that really showed up all of last year, and this one I'm really disappointed with, would have to be Nicholas Hjalmarsson. -6. That's not the Hjalmarsson we know.
Last year, shooting, skating, I just don't see it in him this year.
Last year's nice shot-blocking defenseman who was definitely good on the defensive end, and now this year, I don't know what he's aiming for. He hasn't had a point yet, and he's a -6. So that's showing that there are some players that really are being very defensive this year, and that can be a very big concern. And last night Columbus and Chicago, that was a tough loss to see, going up 2-0, and then Columbus quickly scoring 3 goals. What is your reaction to that?
Shocked. I thought the Blackhawks were going to come back from losing a couple of those games and win it, but it didn't happen.
So, out of their last 6 games, they won 4 and then they lost 2. So hopefully they'll get back to winning. But who knows? Anything can really happen at this point. It's the beginning of the season, and still, everything's up to any team in the league. And as far as the disappointments go, John Scott, Fernando Pisani, and Dave Bolland, I think that if they don't step it up, especially for Scott and Pisani, you might see Jeremy Moore and Kyle Beach up in the NHL if they're not stepping it up. Because they're definitely proving in Rockford that they are, I would say, NHL ready to an extent. And last thing to talk about is the goaltending. Marty Turco and Corey Crawford are our 2 goalies. What do you think about that?
Crawford, since he hasn't come up he hasn't been up for the Blackhawks yet, he has impressed me a little bit. He has been doing good, nice saves. Turco, he's a good goalie. He did replace for Mammy.
I would call the goaltending adequate, but not really what we're looking for, but it definitely is enough to get through a season. I think Turco will step it up more. He's probably just getting used to this new clubhouse. I think it just needs time for the newcomers to blend in and mesh with the veterans of this team. And you'll have a very good Chicago Blackhawks team come April. So that's the outlook of the Chicago Blackhawks throughout the first 10 games. I'm Peter Marzano.
Scary.
See you.